when we see people who are very different, we might turn our face, we might murmur, we might point and talk about the person. We can be excluding. There's a lot of social media projection on people who are visibly different. And so what the charity I'm involved with is trying to do is shift, again, perceptions, make people aware. So the charity has recently been working with the British film industry with a campaign called I'm Not Your Villain. Very often what we find, people who are visibly different are portrayed negatively. They're often the villain in any film or drama. And so some of these messages, they're very blatant, other messages are far more subtle. How can we shift this mindset and just accept people for who they are?
And this is quite personal to you as well. You've suffered from this sort of prejudice. Is that why some of this is quite important?
So it's an area that's been of particular interest for some time. When I was diagnosed with skin cancer on my face, then I was challenged in a different way again. What does it mean to look in a mirror and see a face that isn't familiar to me? How are other people going to respond to me if I look visibly different? Will people know me? Will they recognize and identify with me? Will it change things? At the time when before I knew what the prognosis was, but I'd had the diagnosis, I had to think about best case, worst case scenarios and what would that mean to me and for me. What was interesting, when I had the operation and I had a skin graft, the graft became infected, it was interesting seeing other people's reactions to me. So there were the hushed voices or the blatant pointing and murmuring. People would cross over the path to step out of my way. Some people would be looking with compassion, with sorrow. I did a little bit of a mess, and so there was this compassionate response. But for some people, it tapped into areas of revulsion, disgust. So the challenge, I think, for us in Face Equality Week is our first response. When we see someone who's visibly different, what is it doing to us? And how can we shift first responses within us to demonstrate a spirit of inclusivity, of face equality, of compassion and humanity?